my name's Justine Kim and I'm a freshman here at Cornell University. I'm a freshman in my second semester and I hope to double major in music and PMA, which is Performing and Media Arts. I'm in three main clubs outside of my academics. The first is the Glorus, which is a combination of the Glee Club and the female chorus. And also in the traditional Korean dance group, Hanchum. And also in the ultimate Frisbee Team, Thorny Roses. So today happens to be the last day of classes, but that's okay, there's still a lot of things to do. So you'll be learning more about what a typical day is like for a student at Cornell. And today it also happens to be the Hangovers concert, which is the best a cappella group here at Cornell. A typical day in my life at Cornell, I wake up at around 7 or 7:30, get ready for my first class, which is at 9 a.m. at Mallet Hall. I take Calculus 1, and then I have my next class at 11:15, which is Modern Philosophy with Derek Pereboom. I heard that people from all over the world come to Cornell just to hear him talk about transcendental freedom. It's amazing. And then I have lunch with my friends, either at the meme dining hall called Oakenshields or down at West. And then I have my last class of the day, which is Intermediate Korean. Afterwards, I have my PE class that goes until 5, which is yoga. And then immediately after that, at 5:15 to 7:15, I go to choral rehearsal. And then afterwards, we head to the Robert Purcell Center to have dinner. And then if time and energy allows it, I go to Chariot, which is an after party that the chorus always does after rehearsals. And I stay there until 12 a.m. because I don't have a morning class the next day. So
So you are currently considering a double major, right? Okay, so tell me about that.
So I plan to double major in music and PMA, which stands for Performing and Media Arts. And the reason why I'm doing music and PMA is that my dream is to work at Opera Australia, whether on the scene or behind the scenes.
Ooh.
Yes, because before I came here, I was at the Sydney Conservatorium planning to pursue a bachelor in vocal performance. Opera school, yeah.
Gotcha. Wait, so for people who don't know, what is the Sydney Conservatorium?
So the Sydney Conservatorium is one of the most prestigious music academies in Australia.
So why did you make that transition?
Australia doesn't offer many liberal arts colleges. No, there aren't any liberal arts colleges in Australia. So as soon as you graduate high school, you decide on your major. If you want to get into medicine, you go into medicine, law, business. I had two paths, either speech pathology, medicine at the Sydney Uni or opera school, but I was still very curious. I didn't want to, stay confined to just one subject. Of course, I could have read outside, but I wanted to learn and more about different subjects, such as English literature. That's the reason why I came here. Also, in terms of music, when I was at the con, it was very individualized. So if you not pass an audition, well, it's like it's all about the individual.
Right.
As the singer, as the solo, there were many soloists who were trained there. But here at Cornell, it's more of a community, a family, or and becoming part of a choir, you become part of a group, and you learn about teamwork, and you learn about communicating with different people and being part of a group. So that's why I came here.
So, okay, but then focusing in on music, what's been your favorite musical class you've taken at Cornell?
So my favorite musical class that I've taken at Cornell is choral. That counts as a class.
Okay.
Yeah, the choral rehearsals, because it's more practical and hands-on approach to learning. I loved that this semester we took on a huge project called the St. Matthew Passions, and we learned about the history behind Bach and the crucifixion of Christ, and how like the musical subtleties work in portraying like the story. In terms of musicology, music theory, the best class that I've taken here is Theories and Techniques 1. I loved my TA, her name was Jihyun, and we learnt about music from the 1600s to the late 1800s. I made my first galant style composition, classical style piano composition.
So you're doing composing, you're doing theory, practical singing. How neat.
I like jazz. Do you play jazz?
Yeah, I play jazz a little bit, improv.
Ooh.
Do you want to learn how to improv instead of chopsticks?
Let's do that.
Okay.
Hey, that wasn't terrible.
It wasn't!
That's my favorite thing that's ever happened in an interview.
So right now I'm in the Cornell Memorial Room, where this is Ezra Cornell's final resting place, as well as his, I believe, family. And so this is Ezra Cornell, as you can tell by his iconic beard. There is a bit of a curse in this room that probably because Ezra didn't like tourists, but if you take, videos or just any sort of like technical things, the mic will go off or there will be technical difficulties.
What would you say surprised you the most about Cornell?
What surprised me most about Cornell is the diversity around here, and the number of people. When I came to America and Cornell, I was just overwhelmed by just how many people was here. Like, there's 10 times more people here than in Australia. And I have like friends from all over the country, like not country, like the world actually.
How was the transition overall from Australia to the US to Cornell?
The transition was pretty smooth, I would say, because my family, well, like objectively it was smooth, subjectively it was tumultuous, but the reason why was I had my entire family come with me here to Cornell, and we came here 3 weeks earlier than the actual, when school started. And we stayed a week in New York, and then we stayed another week for the Prepare program, which is a pre-orientation program for international students.
Yeah. Was that helpful, the pre-orientation program?
Oh yeah, I met a lot of my close friends there, and they told us like they have like events throughout the week. On like this day we go shopping for our like beddings, and like the next day this is where we get our Cornell card, and the next day this is a tour of campus and all that. It was wonderful. Also, one more thing about new students, it gets a little bit lonely during the first semester, just heads up, because you're still trying to find your place around here and you get overwhelmed because you see all your friends like signing up for all these extracurricular activities like the business society and things that you don't really care about. But then once you find your niche, once you find the one community, don't go around like so many different like places and like signing up for 10 different clubs. Choose like one club.
You sort of find your family.
Find your family and you're set.
What advice would you give to students who are thinking about applying to Cornell?
I would say that number one, since it's part of Crimson, find a good mentor at Crimson. I had Chase Morin and he was amazing. I don't think I would have gone into Cornell if it weren't for him, because he told me about like, you know, the different deadlines and like how I can improve like my interviews or like what elements that they are looking for in my essays. I actually had so much fun writing my college essay because of Chase.
And you sort of had somebody who could help you sort of organize the process.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what was great about Crimson was that they connected me to students from my prospective schools, and I met my Cornell mentor during a writing seminar. We just freaked out.
Oh my gosh, so you actually were like, oh my god, I've seen you before.
We met serendipitously. Yeah.
Wow, small school.
I know, and so as soon as we saw each other, we were like, you're from Australia. You're from Australia? Did we meet? I think we said, and then we were on like roll chairs and we like rolled to the far edges of the corners because we were just so shocked.
Wow.
Yeah, I love how Crimson really showed me the different resources. For example, like sample essays and like in-depth information of like, it's like hack information about like the different prospective schools. And that was really useful when I was writing my supplementals. So yeah. So if you like this video and want to learn more about top colleges around the world, please subscribe to this channel.